Hey everybody, you're watching KHANTEHNT!
KHANTEHNT!
It's me, Digi, joined by the best guy ever, Nate,
That's me.
to talk about the last 5 episodes of The God of High School Season 1 that we just watched.
And possibly of all time. Considering the rate, although, hey, we did the math, we checked the text, and this thing goes for like 400 more chapter equivalents. So we'll see if they make more or not, we don't know. But before that, you've got to head on over to subscribestar.com/KHANTEHNT and pledge $10 or more for our 2 minimum bonus episodes we've got right now, and more to come in the future. It's going to be a heck of a time.
Yeah, and the last 5 episodes of The God of the High School
Wait, before that, we have to sell you something. Here we go. KHANTEHNT!
We here at KHANTEHNT are working with Studio Ghibli to let you know that one of my personal favorite films of all time, The Wind Rises, from Hayao Miyazaki, is now available for digital download.
You can get it along with 5 other Ghibli films: Nazca in the Valley of the Wind, Castle in the Sky, Porco Rosso, Arrietty, and The Cat Returns, all available now. And if you order it on Apple TV, that's $20 off, baby.
They're also available on Blu-ray and in stores now, so get on it. These movies are amazing. So make like the wind and rise to the occasion.
Or make like the Nausicaa and of the wind of Ghibli movies, available now. Go buy them, everybody. KHANTEHNT!
This is the ultimate showdown of ultimate destiny. Good guys, bad guys, and explosions. As far as the eye can see, and only one will survive. I wonder who it will be. This is the ultimate showdown of ultimate destiny.
So, God of High School, the last 5 episodes, this took a kind of a weird turn. Not that it changed especially,
It's sort of expected, but it did change radically from kind of what we fundamentally liked about it, and it went a little differently.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be people, of course, as we go on, who are gonna be saying, "Oh, you two, we were saying all along that the series was gonna do some bullshit and fuck with your expectations." But let me stop everybody right there and say, this was not bad. This was enjoyable and good. But I am concerned. I mean, I feel concerned for like the future of the series, but mostly I'm just kind of confused as to what was witnessed.
Well, so like up until this point, as we've talked about on the other episodes we covered, like this show's been running at a breakneck speed. It has a tendency to introduce characters, give you their whole backstory really quick, get you to care just enough for that fight, pay off the fight, move on. This is the first time where we had something that had like a bit more build-up, where we have this blue-haired guy who's sort of a rival to our main character, Kun, whose all names have now escaped me.
His name's like Gene Mori. So like his first, I've been fucking this up the whole time. That's like calling him like his last name. His name is Mori, I think. But who cares? They're Koreans. They don't matter.
Gene seems like it's more likely meant to be his name.
It's
right?
not. That's his last name because his grandpa's name like Gene something. It's confusing. I don't know.
In any case, Gene, he has this rival character. Both of them had like some upbringing similarities in that they were involved with this guy who we think is supposed to be Gene's granddad, but
that's how we've been introduced.
May or may not have. Well, he doesn't have any blood relation, I think, is revealed by the end.
It sounds like Gene was adopted, as we suspected, because he has literal demon eyes, which is something of a giveaway.
He seems like he might be some kind of god or something.
He might be, in fact, a god of high school.
That would make sense.
Indeed.
But so like this rivalry is set up pretty well in the previous episode, but as we go into episode 9, it kind of takes a back seat so we can tell another story about the girl and her fight with this big, oily black dude, I guess.
Yeah, the tanning man.
It was there was just no narrative stakes in that fight, where like tanning man didn't get a backstory. Girl didn't really have a meaningful arc. She just kind of like...
She had to win so that the team could win for the sake of the plot. That's something.
It was the least meaningful fight yet, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of actually giving us, like, characterization and reasons to care about that fight, as opposed to its place in the general narrative.
Well, okay, you say that, okay, you're right, but I'm thinking back to, like, there were fights between... Remember when Han fight the guy who fights with a baseball bat in the book?
Yeah.
I mean, it's true, we knew, like, bits and pieces of Han's fighting, like, for his friends, so, like, we knew why Han cared about that. But here's just a general point I wanted to make, and we can talk about this at length. But in preparation for finishing off the anime here, I went and read like a bunch of it's not a manhwa, but it's like a webtoon, like the web comic. And for those of interest, the events of episodes 1 through 13 cover chapters, if they are chapters, 1 through like 112. I did the math. I went and reviewed where the events end. And one of the reasons for that is that our whole thing about the show going at a breakneck pace is totally true. But even beyond that, they have cut massive amounts of material, and I have now like found what's been removed. So for the example of that dude, the book dude with the baseball bat, he had a whole like couple of chapters devoted to his backstory that is just gone. We don't get one drop of that in the anime here. So it's not bad, but like we have totally stripped so much of the reason to care about many of the characters completely for the sake of making the anime quickly, getting to this point in the story. I don't know.
I mean, it's strange because like even in spite of the fact that things were cut, it still felt like it was just moving so fast it was hard to care. It was like, sure, it's a little breakneck, but at least we're constantly seeing new things and learning new things about our characters. And I guess it was just that we reached a point in the story where it kind of feels like all the main characters' arcs were complete. Like, it doesn't feel like any of the main characters really learn or grow much in the last 5 episodes. It's mostly plot shit.
The seeds that we were talking about, or at least that I mentioned, I think, last episode, were like, my worries are, okay, they're really burning through a lot of these character arcs. Han's character arc has been my favorite. I think everyone I know's favorite part of the series so far. His little thing about fighting for his friend dies, but like carrying on the will that his friend would want him to fight and make his own life better and live his own dreams. All that, a beautiful little arc for a character. You get that episodes 1 through 5. Now that we're past that point, we're expected to like be attached and care to characters that, as I was saying before, we're literally skipping the backstory of. So I don't care about like any of these characters that we're getting introduced to.
It got really hard because like as we go into episode 10, and we actually get to Jin fighting blue-haired guy.
His name, by the way, is Ilpyo.
Ilpyo has like an episode and a half long fight. It's like one of the longer fights. And it is good.
It was good.
It felt like it should have come sooner. Like in this show where we always learn about something and then it just happens. It was so weird to have learned about this guy, then to spend a whole episode on the girls' fight, and then to just like kind of unceremoniously go back to blue-haired guy and be like, okay, we're finishing that off now. And it's like, oh, I wish we had just stayed and stewed in the drama between them for longer, you know? Like, I wish that fight had come at the maximum height of us giving a fuck about that character.
It makes me wonder because at this point I have to wonder, how was that handled in the webtoon? Because like,
I'm curious about it.
It could have been restructured totally differently for reasons like you were saying, and I was saying. So the structure of the fight is kind of like, well, if you know a lot of tournament arcs and shonen stuff, you'll get like, the setup here is that they have to win 2 out of 3 fights. That means narratively, the author has license to have one of our characters lose any given fight, which is an excuse to have more cool fights, introduce more characters, and generally stretch things out. In the fight of our boys from Seoul against wherever those guys are from, the Taekyon and his 2 compatriots, the first fight is Han against Girl Fighter, where we get a little of her backstory that was okay, not great, and then we get straight to Jin versus Ilpyo. We've left an entire fight there unused for basically no reason, when it was a perfectly good time that, like, if I was writing this, I would think like, okay, I'm going to use that opportunity to have, the girl fight an opponent and flesh out either the girl or the opponent, just to do more stuff to build to it. And maybe in the webtoon, that happened. I know you don't have to do it that way every time, but it's just almost a waste if you don't, and it kind of undercuts narrative tension. You just end up in the rat race with arcs like this, with tournament arcs, where there are stringent rule sets of whenever you don't do the most like exciting possible thing, the audience will be like, oh, I mean, you could have made this a little more exciting.
That's a good way of putting it, and that was how I felt during that fight, where it just felt like we were so close to the climax of the show, and then we kind of broke away for something else. Then we got back to the big climactic battle. This runs us also into the issue of, so Jin versus Ilpyo is exciting and cool, and they have history together. There's a reason for this fight to be happening.
Grandpa lore,
It goes into some extremes. They unlock some new powers and shit. It's cool. But it also is the last emotionally relevant thing that happens. Because, like, their fight is cool. It resolves that little arc. And then we just kind of move into this finale arc that just feels like it just fucking happens. Like
it is the natural consequence of these powers being built up, and like we're talking about gods, and like imagine what like a god can do. But when like the literal like Jesus Christ stand man rolls into town and begins like God is descending like a nuke from the sky, and the runner of God of High School, like obviously devil-coded man, is like fighting against God and talking about want to overthrow God and stuff. Yeah. The power level scaling goes off the fucking charts, and it's never coming back, and it's never going to be reasonable again. And I'm going to be wondering at any given point why power levels are so below what they could have gotten. The show has completely fucked the power scaling
Seoul gets
forever.
nuked to fuck in this.
Seoul is destroyed completely.
The capital city,
it's gone.
Like, and it's so fucking bizarre the way all this stuff transpires. So the kid who we thought had been killed, the son of Samsung
Jr., yes.
Prince Samsung comes back, and he's got some kind of like the power is taking over him, and so he's just like sucking people in and absorbing them.
Seems to be.
I thought was, if we're continuing the Samsung metaphor, like that's what Samsung does. They absorb all of the Korean population into themselves. And then he gets killed again. Then Papa Samsung shows up.
Samsung Senior shows up.
And Samsung Senior is the one who teleports everybody. The entire population of Seoul is teleported out of Seoul right before the nukes hit and blow everything up. By Samsung Man. So in the end, maybe Samsung was the good guy all along. I don't know.
Can we point out that Samsung literally slayed God in the event? Samsung brought down the hammer. The United States launched like 40 nukes at Seoul, South Korea, to kill God because the president of the United States said, "Fuck God, we have nukes. We're gonna kill God with our fucking nukes. We have technology. It's better than God." And they were literally correct. They literally killed God with nukes with the help of the Samsung Corporation, with his magic wand and believe in himself. Incredible.
I don't know a better way to put it than that.
And then Seoul was destroyed. It was amazing. By the way, while we're on the metaphor train, I'd like to point out that so God does in fact show up here, and God is trying to impose like monotheism upon the citizens of Korea. And I'm wondering if and they're resisted by the God of High School is about Korean people like each with their individual gods, like a polytheistic, I don't know if they're like Shinto in Korea or whatever they got going over there, but it's literally like monotheism or Christianity correlate versus polytheism. Is there like an imperialism metaphor going on here? How deep are we prepared to go?
I mean, this show is full of metaphors, so like it wouldn't surprise me.
But they're
too
shallow
much.
metaphors.
They are very shallow.
That's the thing, yeah. You don't want to give it too much brain power. It's not worth it.
No. Well, I mean, in the show's kind of mentality is like all this stuff is the same anyways, like...
They're mixing gods, Thor and Ragnarok and fucking Son Goku, the Monkey King. They're all the same guy. They're all the same thing.
It's just like, I don't mind that the show plays fast and loose. I was praising it for that up until this point. It was just the fact that it always managed to establish enough character, enough emotional stakes before that, like, you cared to some degree who was going to win and lose because of what it meant for them. And, like, when you get to this episode, I mean, we're saving the world at this point. So, like, the stakes for individual characters are just like, well, whatever. We got to blow up the bad guy and make world save. And, like, the people who are fighting in this final battle, like, you've got our main guys. You've got blue-haired guy and his two friends who did not get fleshed out at all.
I was going to say, one of those guys didn't get a single fight, and we never heard his name. We don't know anything about that guy, which is odd, but yeah.
They lose a couple of limbs. It's very hard to care. Like, it feels like we should. Like, watching that episode, I was like, oh, this feels like I should care about these characters and their injuries. I just don't because they've done nothing
They try to give one girl some backstory there of her, it looks like her sister, her friend or whatever, got crippled in like a martial arts tournament against our like bit like cyan blue hair guy, Sharkman. I'm calling him Sharkman. And then over the events of the tournament, like the sister who's in the tournament gets her fucking leg bit off. So, is there a comparison? Is there a correlation? Does it mean something? I don't know.
So Sharkman, that guy's like decent villain, just angry kid who's just angry sociopath kid wants to hurt people, and other people put him in his place, and then he becomes super strong. But it was originally a shark man, where he summons a shark from below to eat people.
This was the weird thing. It seemed like his powers just changed halfway through. It might have been because he was like given more power by like the Nox, the KKK organization. I think that's what was implied, but he keeps using like the shark powers sometimes with the fangs, it seems like. Confusing.
My guess would be because he summons these like giants, and they're called...
the impoverished.
Yeah, the
they were called,
impoverished.
yeah.
And they all have like mouths in their bellies and shit. So maybe the shark mouths we've seen before just were those mouths.
It's
just
possible.
Like partial creations, but like they literally looked like sharks before, and now it's just people.
The character of that guy, whose name I don't remember, because there's a million fucking names and I don't know them all, but Sharkman we get a little backstory of Sharkman, and this is why I mentioned before how we like skipped tons of backstory for characters.
Yeah.
We learn a little bit about this guy, that it looks like his mom like sold him to like a
Yeah.
They do that thing where the trope of like a rich company adopts like a promising young youth, Seto Kaiba style or something from poverty. And that guy says like you're gonna be my successor. You've got all the qualifications. Your mother was a loser.
Yes.
But you are gonna be a winner. And the guy internalizes that to such a toxic degree that he seems to consume that man and like everyone around him. And we see him like killing people and hurting people for no reason. So the metaphor going on there, or the motivations of that character, are kind of cool, kind of interesting for a villain.
Right.
I'd like to hear a guy who like has these weird like internal conflicts. Like when you analyze that character, what he really is doing is like he's got such an issue of like self-confidence deep down and like being thought of as a winner. It makes him lash out and hurt people. And what better way to like address that than have like our characters maybe like become kind of friends with him and save him from that darkness, which we kind of see Ilpio do like a little bit before the guy dies.
Yeah.
He tries, and you know, this guy was probably beyond saving. And it's the fact that like this guy seems to have been given all these powers. Like my headcanon is he had like a shark power. His power was Jaws. But then he started working with Nox. He never allied with them, but he worked with them, and he was given more power of the impoverished. Right. And then as the events go on, the key appears, and he takes the key, and he gets more power of, like, literally Lucifer or something. And so it's Lucifer versus Son Goku battle or whatever.
Who, by the way, is what our main... Gene is Goku.
Gene...
He just is Goku.
Gene seems to be... Now, as opposed to everybody else who uses god powers, it looks like the implication is Gene is literally the god Son Goku or something, brought, like, from the divine realm or something. So that seems to be the implication, and that's what makes him special. So now we know why he's the main character. Right. Cool.
And
Great.
Also, the girl has Lu Bu.
Oh, she got fucking Lu Bu, man! Yeah, it was... have you guys played Dynasty Warriors?
Is that who I think it is? It's Lu Bu! Lu Bu's come to destroy us!
I'm a fan. She has literally Lu Bu, and Han has miscellaneous water power that heals?
Healing water, I guess.
Little underwhelming
again,
there.
It was just like everything got so chaotic here at the end. Like, it's not that any of the ideas being introduced were bad. It was just that, like, the pacing got weird. We stopped focusing on backstories and started focusing on just endless fighting.
Yeah.
And, like, the last 2 episodes, it's just like, there's nukes, there's meteors, there's fucking... Every character who's still alive is there, and, like, you got all these dudes in suits fighting, and, like, I get it. The guys in suits are cool. Like, they're immediately cool characters. They look cool. They got cool powers. But, like, we haven't... I don't like them enough to watch them in the final battle of season 1. Like, I would love to see them in the final battle of season 2. It just felt like there was too much trying to make this big epic climax, and it wasn't at the right place in the narrative for this.
This is a fascinating, like, way to have handled this series. Because, as I said, like, this is like 110 chapters condensed into these 13 episodes. So there's like a several issues that all come up at once about the ending here, and I like as you were saying, the last fight that I care about is the one that's like the last plot relevant one before things go completely off the rails, which is when we discover that Taekyon guy, Ilpio, is this key that we've been waiting to hear about. So, okay, so the plot is advanced forward, and he's the nine-tailed fox. The nine-tailed fox, don't you know, rebelled against God and holds the ability to kill God. So, okay, that's cool. And in fighting this, we get the reveal that our boy Gene is Son Goku, the Monkey King or whatever. That's all cool, sets up for a cool battle. But but it's weird that we have now chosen to accelerate the series at such an incredible pace that we are outstripping any emotional connection to what's going on. It's like you're trying to drive a car and you're hitting the accelerator, but it's going too fast. You're going too fast that friction can't give you a grip on the road, and you're not able to get that traction, so you're just stuck in the mud. And emotionally, I feel like the series got completely stuck in the mud, which is why I'm really curious. I would love to hear some behind the scenes, like developer commentary. Whose decision was it to cut so much backstory, so many side bits, just to accelerate the point of the narrative to like this big climactic battle? Was this done for like to fit a certain block
I
of
would
episodes?
have so much
or?
rather that it just ended with the fight with blue-haired guy, cut the last 2 episodes, space out everything that came before that, and have it end with the reveal that he is the key and him turning into the thing and all that.
That's a fine place to end things if they wanted to.
Like the last 2 episodes didn't add really anything for me emotionally to the series. It literally just felt like I was watching a light show and like nothing mattered.
Well, let me give you...
I know it did matter, but it didn't feel like anything mattered.
When things get so over the top, it's hard to be tangibly attached to what's going on.
Well, and it's because this show has it has a plot, but we don't know what the fuck the plot is. Like, we don't really know what anybody's fighting for. We know what they're fighting for individually, but like, what is this all in service of?
Well, let's lay it out real quickly now. So it sounds like the entire impetus for this plot is that God Power Man, whose name I forget, who showed up and was leading the cultists, he like has the power of God. That's his like God spirit thing. It seems like he wants to literally destroy the world. I don't know why. But he does, maybe because God wills it. Who knows? Could be any reason. I'm sure we'll get into that sometime. Maybe God felt betrayed by humanity getting too fucking polytheistic or something. I don't know. Sure. Korea specifically. Fuck him. So the devil guy who's leading the god of high school is looking for the key. Right. And we learned that the key is specifically an ability that allows a human to kill a god. Because otherwise, gods are invincible to mortals or whatever. So, I mean, clearly the entire plot is about God's going to kill us, so someone's attempting to find a countermeasure so they can kill God.
Right.
For various reasons.
They do. They kill that god. I assume that
There's gotta be
mission
more.
is now to kill all the gods or kill more gods. Or
Are all cops bastards? I'm sorry, are all gods bastards?
The key is split into fragments like the Shikon Jewel, I think.
So are we setting up for a quest to find the shards of the key? That's got to be what we're doing next, right?
We got to go find the Dragon Balls.
I'm really interested to know why they decided to make it at such an unbelievable breakneck speed, because this really does seem like a series. While we really enjoyed the fights when they were like grounded and tangible, and even in these episodes, there were a bunch of good ones. It feels like they really worked hard, but not smart. Yeah. And this could have been like 3 seasons of something, and good seasons too, not just stretched out bullshit. This maybe should have been like 26 episodes or something, and just add some of that backstory in. That's literally good and makes your series better.
Yeah. If they make a second season, hopefully they will add anything that could be fucking useful back.
It's just that they've squandered so much of the story already for no real benefit, because we just feel kind of disappointed that they've wasted a lot of this writing.
Yeah, I feel like this anime, they knew that it was not going to be the whole manga, so it's kind of like this is just like to see cool fights animated, see it with colors and music and voice and all that. Obviously, it is not a replacement for the webtoon, considering how much is cut. But do I think the anime is overall worth watching? Like, having not read the webtoon and being somebody who usually just watches anime, I enjoyed this show enough. I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10. It was definitely an 8 at the start. Like,
I've been very harsh, but I agree. This actually, it was very enjoyable, and I don't at all regret like saying that the show was good. Episode 1 through 5 were really good. Everything up to Han, and beyond that, it was diminishing returns, but still definitely good. I'd probably also give it like a strong 7 or so.
Yeah.
It's worth watching. It is.
I would say like it's worth watching the first like 5 or 6 episodes, and if you like it, you should just switch to the manga anyway, because like you're getting all of the best in that time.
Yeah,
like, not to say the rest of it's not worth watching, but like if you actually care about the story, the rest of it's not that worth watching.
It reminds
just worth
me
watching for the flashiness and the fights and everything.
It reminds me of the one and only anime I've ever watched, Gurren Lagann, and how I'm always annoyed by how the movies cut out so much of like the heart and soul. Like when Yoko becomes a teacher in the second half, I love that part. The movies like cut it completely, and I hate that because that adds so much character and personality, and it feels like this is like the movie adaptation that cuts so much material, and it's a bit of a shame. But it was a great ride, and I bet there are people out there who have already read the webtoon and just enjoyed seeing it animated because the animation was fucking great most of the time.
Mappa, y'all really did it this time.
They did.
They did not drop the ball on production angle, so good job. Yeah.
That's all I got. Pretty good, God of High School. Is it anime of the season? Maybe. We'll have to finish the other shows.
It might still be.
It might still be. Maybe Deca-Dense will come in strong in the end. We'll see.
We're about to find out. And you're going to find out if you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're here every Thursday and Sunday.
That's right.
We're doing ReZero Season 2 right now and wrapping up the current season so that this new fall season that just begun, we're going to be looking at all the first episodes of all the new shows on a big old fat podcast. So look forward to that.
It's going to be good. We've got those $10 bonus episodes as well, including the new one, which is... I can't remember. No, that's not out yet. Censor
Wars.
that. Vampire Wars. That's the one. And of course, Prefectural Earth Defense Force. Go check those out and more to come. Give us $10 on Subscribe Star. Thanks, everybody. See you next episode. KHANTENT!